When a stem flexes in the wind, or a leaf shudders under an animal's nibble, the plant has no time to waste. It triggers the same fast genetic alarms discovered in the lab, but in nature, the payoff is survival. Field ecologists have watched wild plants battered by storms or grazed by animals. Those that sense and respond to these mechanical threats change how they grow. Their stems thicken, their leaves hug closer to the ground. The plant builds itself tougher, shorter, less likely to snap or topple when the next storm hits. This response isn't a slow drift over seasons. It kicks in within minutes, and over days the plant's body reshapes itself. The science calls it thigmomorphogenesis, a mouthful, but at its core it means touch changes form. Plants that ignore these cues risk growing tall and spindly, easy targets for wind or hungry mouths. Those that sense and adapt stand a better chance. Touch in the wild is a signal. Get ready, brace yourself, or be broken. Brush a leaf once, and the plant's internal wiring lights up for an hour. But what happens when you do it again and again? Here's where the story takes a turn. Plants do not just react and forget. Each encounter leaves a trace, a molecular afterimage that does not quite fade. Scientists noticed something odd in the lab. Seedlings brushed every day did not just keep flipping the same genetic switches. Their bodies began to change. Petioles, those slender stalks holding each leaf, grew shorter. Stems thickened. The whole plant shifted shape, building itself lower and sturdier, as if bracing for whatever might come next. In Arabidopsis, these changes show up in less than a week. A plant that gets brushed or jostled repeatedly stands more compact, less likely to topple in wind or snap under its own weight. The effect is so clear that researchers can measure it with a ruler. It is not a vague influence. It is a visible rewrite of the plant's blueprint, triggered by nothing more than touch. Every gentle contact, every repeated brush, nudges growth in a new direction.
We purchased Leafner, I'd say, about 15 years ago. Didn't have any issues right off the bat, but after a little bit, started having the gutter was plugging up, and we found out that
What starts as a fleeting chemical spark becomes a real, physical record, etched into the plant's form for days, even weeks. Soon, you will see how this process plays out in time lapse and why it matters for every houseplant you have ever owned. Try this. Take a soft paintbrush and stroke the main stem of your houseplant slow and steady for 5 to 10 seconds. That's it. Just once a day. Greenhouse growers have used this trick for years. In commercial nurseries, workers or machines brush rows of seedlings every morning. The result isn't subtle. After a week, the plants stand shorter, their stems are noticeably thicker, and the risk of snapping during transplant drops. The difference is visible, ruler measurable, and backed by decades of careful observation. At home, the same routine works for leggy seedlings or floppy stems. Use a natural bristle brush or even your hand, but go gently. Too much force damages tissue. One daily stroke, 5 to 10 seconds, is all it takes. Over days, you'll see sturdier growth. A grower once put it simply, it's like giving the plant a daily challenge. It learns to brace itself. You don't need special tools, and you don't need to guess. The effect is so reliable that some greenhouses set reminders to brush at the exact same time every day. The plant remembers each touch, not with a mind, but with its body. The science behind this is about to get even stranger. Brush a leaf and something electric happens beneath the surface. The plant doesn't have nerves or a brain, but it senses your touch through a hidden network of ion channels, tiny molecular gates called MCA and OSCA. The moment you make contact, these channels snap open. Calcium ions surge into the cells, setting off a wave that races from cell to cell. Scientists have watched this in real time, using fluorescent calcium imaging. The wave sweeps across an entire seedling in under 2 minutes. At the point of touch, the calcium peak flares for about 30 seconds before fading. It's a signal, fast, precise, and unmistakable. This isn't guesswork. Researchers can track the calcium flash as it moves, frame by frame, glowing on their screens. No need for nerves. The plant's own chemistry carries the message, linking that brief moment of contact to a chain reaction that will soon reach the nucleus and flip genetic switches. Every touch you give a houseplant is not just a fleeting spark. It is a tally added to a running total deep inside the plant's cells. Each time your fingers brush a leaf, calcium ions surge, genes flip on, and tiny growth zones in the stem and petiole start to rewrite their instructions. The effect does not fade with the last touch. Instead, these chemical ripples stack up day after day, pushing the plant to build itself differently. The result is more than a reaction. It is a physical biography. A plant that is brushed every morning grows shorter, thicker, and sturdier than one left untouched. The shape you see is not random. It is the sum of every breeze, every bump, every gentle stroke, a living record etched in cellulose and lignin. In some species, the difference is dramatic, in others, subtle. But the principle holds. The final form is a ledger of contact, written in green. If you want proof, try a simple experiment. Take 2 seedlings. Touch one, leave the other alone, and watch them diverge. The plant remembers, not with a mind, but with its body. If you found this as surprising as we did, subscribe for more science that changes the way you see the world. Every brush of your hand triggers real chemical signals. Genes flip, calcium surges, reshaping your plant's future form. Greenhouse growers use this daily to build resilience. Right now, your next touch writes a physical record into living tissue. The line between you and your houseplant isn't as clear as you think. Subscribe for more.
Hendrik.
Good afternoon. My name is Jordan. Hi, my name is John. I'll be working on your vehicle today. Front brakes are right around 30% life, so I will send you over a quote for that. Find that your left-rear car has 80% life left. Left-rear suspension's in good shape. Your service writer will be with you shortly, and I thank you for your time.
Time to switch things up, including which side you're on.
Yeah, this is William Tice. I've talked a lot about Discovery Channel and its sister channels' content a lot. I'm really focused on that weird era of time where a lot of these channels decided to just start making stuff up. It's like there's a little monster guy running around the forests in Indonesia eating people. His name's Homo floresiensis. There's a 60-foot shark into the ocean, and Discovery Channel has exclusive access to all this amazing footage of it. And most notoriously, Animal Planet tried to convince everybody that mermaids exist and that the government was trying to hide their existence to prevent you, the hardworking American, from getting a little mermaid tail. But while I was making these videos, one little liar slipped under my radar. That's right, like any mega corporation, Discovery Channel owns a lot more than you may be aware of. The Food Network, Discovery Channel, the Science Channel, Animal Planet, HGTV, and of course, the Travel Channel.
Why is best? Sunday, April 22nd at 9 on the Travel Channel. Do these things have an off switch?
I never really watched the Travel Channel while I still lived with my parents and had access to cable. And looking back on the kind of things they used to air, I don't think I'm missing out on much. So many ghosts. Ghost Adventures, Ghost Hunters, Ghost Brothers. Is that their competitor for Property Brothers? But they still do kind of air traveling shows still. A lot of reruns from things they spent more money on, like Anthony Bourdain content. But despite the few exceptions, your average Travel Channel host doesn't have any more charisma than your average travel TikToker. Man, beef food? Man, I eat food. Don't be fighting your food. Dude. So without a lot going on besides ghosts and food, in the fall of 2017, the Travel Channel decided to take a trip to the Fib Factory and get a little loose with the truth. Helltown tells a sensationalized version of the story of Boston Township, Ohio.
Hilltown.
A town which has garnered a lot of scary rumors and folklore over the years, ever since it was emptied out and abandoned by the U.S. government in 1974. That's an excellent way to make people start a conspiracy theory. You can't blame anybody for creating theories about this town.
Hilltown.
Ever since, rumors of ghosts, government cover-ups, chemical spills, cult sacrifice, and a larger-than-normal snake have plagued the town.
Hilltown.
And adding fuel to the fire, the fucking Travel Channel, owned by Discovery Communication. Now Warner Bros. Discovery. They're not conglomerating to make a monopoly, they're just good friends. Helltown claims that not only were many of these rumors true, but also that the town was cut off and emptied out by the government in order to contain a powerful monster. The winner.
A few instances we can get a better look at what attacks the teenagers, and it's no bear. Doesn't sound like a bear either.
So let's check out Helltown and get real into the conspiracy of it all, while we separate the fact from fiction without any drinking. Before we continue, let's discuss today's sponsor, Raycon. Check out these babies, everyday earbuds, true wireless earbuds, but don't be mistaken. Just because these puppies cost half as much as other true wireless earbuds doesn't mean that they don't have great battery life. 32 hours of battery life and 8 hours of listening time. That's 8 hours. That's enough time to listen to one YouTube video essay. Yeah, that's right. Check out these sweet angels with their custom gel tip. You'll suffer from a concussion before these babies come out. Well, I'm dead, but those Raycons are still in there, and they're still in here, in the afterlife. With my life behind me, I've realized that it makes perfect sense why Raycons have over 48,000 five-star reviews. With reviews like that, you could spend every day of your living existence with them. We should call them everyday earbuds. I came up with that. Don't let Raycon tell you otherwise. After all, you don't want to disrespect the dead. Remember to appreciate the life that you have. I wish I clicked at the link in the description or went to buyraycon.com/Billiam to get 15% off of my purchase. But it's too late. Don't make the same mistake. And like many of the other fake documentaries produced by Discovery Channel, there is some truth to the Helltown myth. It's based on a lot of the urban legends surrounding Boston, Ohio, which just sounds fake. Boston, Ohio. It's actually Boston Township, Ohio. That sounds a little bit more plausible. All right, right at the beginning of this cinematic experience, we're showing some really fake footage. These teenagers are live streaming, but there's no chat. Where's the chat roasting them and telling them that, you know, they're friends when they're not friends with them? I'm your friend. Yes. Then after some vandalism, they spray paint a pentagram on this rock. It's just a regular rock, though. They get attacked by a monster. This is a really bad recommendation from the Travel Channel. I don't think anybody should be traveling here. This belongs on the Stay Away channel. Okay, scratch everything I just said. Forget about the mermaids, the megalodon, the little guy in the jungle. This is convincing footage. Let's do a little research. As the documentary points out, in 1974, Gerald Ford did exercise eminent domain in order to seize the entire township from the people to expand the national park system. Then they didn't build the national park. The U.S. does regularly exercise its ability to seize public and private property for projects that are deemed to be the greater good. Now, usually the greater good is defined by a corporation, the highest bidder, but this time it was deemed to be a public park.
Some of this land is already bought, but they're still in the process. The Lands Acquisitions Office is still in the process of purchasing all of the land.
But then they just left the whole town to decay. Despite the financial compensation, there was backlash from the community. I bet those people feel even worse knowing that the national park was never built. They were kicked out of their homes just to watch Their homes sit there, be unoccupied. And this is where the truth supposedly ends by all reputable sources, but that footage, it's convincing. It's so disturbing. There's no way I can buy the official report that it was just an animal, or the explanation offered by the mainstream media that there was no attack at all and these were all credited actors. So after the teens are killed, we get our first mind-blowing twist in Helltown. Remember the mermaid documentary? Remember this guy, Dr. Paul Robertson, the guy who found the mermaid and told us all about their scientific evolution? Well, it turns out he has a lot to say about Helltown as well. Here he comes. Oh my God. I love that, like, this is all in the same cinematic universe. Like, this guy, this red-haired guy, he's a grifter who is the same guy who said, hey, I'm this professor, let me tell you about this crazy Helltown. But then a few months ago, he went to another station. He goes, I just found mermaids. Let me tell you about it. He's just going around, like, grifting like different TV networks. Yeah, he's a con man. Incredible continuity, but don't let this grifter fool you. Dr. Paul Robertson, Professor Paul Wyndham of Cuyahoga Community College. So anyways, Dr. Paul, Professor Paul here, he explains that the Wendigo is in this area where Boston Township used to be, and that the native communities who used to live there, they decided to leave it alone. But when the settlers came in, they were like, hey, let's sacrifice goats to it. And then people, but are they still active today? Well, the writers of this special who came up with the concept of the cult seem to think so. It never existed in the first place.
The Wendigo is part of Algonquin folklore. It's a supernatural spirit that practices cannibalism.
Yeah, looks like a
Nice.
Ooh, that pinpointer book that's gonna be brilliant.
Like, move real quick.
Soft ball.
The devil.
Beastars. You gotta put Beastars.
And then we have our emotional core of Helltown, Everett McMahon, an ex-military operative who was sent into Helltown by the military to discover the evil monster. After all these years, after fighting his demons, he's now fighting dementia. But he's still able to draw the shapes they ask him to draw. For now. He's traumatized. All his friends were killed by the monster in the cult, but we're able to get this story out of him before he loses all grip on reality. And then finally, we have my favorite side story of this special. The YouTubers, Terry Rebaum and Torque.
Salutations. This is Terry.
Fuck yeah. We love a salutation. He's a paranormal investigator, and he's picking up on conspiracies about Helltown, including Everett McMahon's story. He recovers the footage. So the story of the special is told through interviews with these actors and the recovered footage from McMahon's expedition into the bad zone of Helltown, which is told with actors, and then we get reenactments of those events as well, also shot with actors.
Really thought about that.
Yeah, it's probably, I imagine they just go out to these sets with two sets of actors and film these scenes back to back. I can't imagine how else they would do it. Yeah, they did. The little squishy. The story that unfolds reveals that the cult, the WW cult, is still active within Helltown. Oh, Terry and Tori, you gotta get out there. I find it interesting that this location in particular was used for this scary special. I mean, the name Helltown is more interesting than any of the actual folklore that came out of Boston Township, Ohio. Going online, I was able to find quite a bit of content published both online and in traditional sources before the Helltown special aired on Travel Channel. And the Wendigo storyline was something that they didn't make up, but just applied it to Helltown for some reason. It had never been associated with the town before. They should have used the Melonhead, which is a very Ohio-centric cryptid. I love this website, ghostsofohio.org. It's a non-profit website which tries to catalog and investigate paranormal activity in Ohio. The site's founder, James Willis, published an investigation into the town in the Cleveland Plain Dealer in 2001. now archived on the website. It's really just a lot of boring rumors that have been heightened by the eerie remnants of the town now abandoned. Like, there's a haunted school bus rumored to be owned by a serial killer, but it's just, scrapyard metal. There's apparently satanic imagery everywhere, but really it's just misinterpreted Gothic architecture. But Willis was even more daring to investigate some of the more haunting rumors of the town, such as that of a ghost that'll appear in the Boston Township Cemetery, sit on a bench, and look. It terrifies people. But after interviewing local resident Claire Road, Willis discovered an inconsistency in the story. I've lived here my whole life, and I've never seen a ghost or a bench in that cemetery. There's so little going on in this town that there's rumors of a bench in the cemetery. But what is the Travel Channel doing recommending such a terrifying place to me? Ghost bench mutants are also rumored to roam the town due to carcinogenic chemicals being dumped in the town from 1948 to 1980. This is probably the most legitimate reason why the national park was never built, because there was toxic chemical contamination everywhere.
Sulfide or something.
But there's a little bit more truth to the mutant story, even before the chemicals started being spilled. This myth is older than the name of Helltown itself. The Peninsula Python, a particularly paranormal snake, is rumored to be a greater length than that of a typically larger than average python. Particularly large, in fact, it supposedly slithered silently out of a carnival tent in the middle of the night in 1945. Does it exist? Maybe. It did. But it'd be dead now. But anything's possible in Helltown. However, in Ghost of Ohio's 2001 investigation, we did discover that our favorite resident, Claire Rose, did grow up hearing about the myth of the Peninsula Python. So it may actually have more legitimacy than many of the rumors that actually leave the community, such as the rumor of a bench in the cemetery or a Wendigo. It would make sense that a lot of speculation of Boston Township would leave the community, considering a lot of travel publications have talked about it. Weird Ohio and Atlas Obscura mention it, and Virgin Airlines wrote an article about it. Hopefully not while anyone was flying the plane. Real scary. So it makes sense that a lot of people who had never even been here, including me, would gain interest in this place. Well, a lot of Discovery's foray into sensationalistic, less than true, and just straight-up fictional content proved to be a short-term success for them, proving to be big rating smash hits the night they aired. It really tarnished the reputation of the company holistically across all their channels. However, in 2015, a new chief executive was signed to be in charge of Discovery Communication and promised no more fake stuff. The twist to this promise was it was hyper-specific to Discovery Channel, because that same year, Animal Planet released Cannibal in the Jungle, and then a few years later, Helltown. Nobody was being fooled by it. People fell for the mermaids, people fell for Megalodon, but nobody was really falling for Helltown. Try to fool me once, Discovery, shame on you. Try to fool me twice, Discovery, shame on you. Try to fool me 3 times, Discovery, I'm convinced. Let's continue looking at Helltown. So Snopes does a pretty good job of laying out all of the things that this special just straight up made up. Like these 2 kids that apparently were eaten by the Wendigo and went missing are just stock footage kids. And the compound that the FBI shot up is actually a farm in the Czech Republic. Of course, Snopes does claim that the Wendigo attacks also aren't real, so maybe we should be a little skeptical about it. I've seen this footage. That is a demon lurking behind that tree. But the ultimate plot twist comes with how the YouTuber's plotline progresses. So he discovers in the National Park survey that this rock wasn't there. The same rock that they spray painted a little pentagram on, the teenagers that were killed by the Wendigo. So he and Torque go back to the rock and discover it's fake. Yeah, what the fuck?
It's made of incredible. Probably. What did you say? Pretty dig. Like, Nicholas Cage.
A gust of wind could have blown this over. And my favorite part is a lot of people who are watching this special, this was it for them. This is what convinced them that this was fake, not the demon. It's a papier-mâché rock. So they go down under the rock and discover a secret bunker with all of this old technology in a vault where the government apparently kept the Wendigo. And this is all just Stranger Things.
Locals don't refer to the area as Boston, Ohio. Today, it's known by another name.
Turn complex information into actionable insights with Notebook LM. Upload your own sources and create an interactive knowledge base you can trust. Find insights faster with Google Workspace.
Dinner sides upgraded. I've been swapping in more DG brands lately, and honestly, they don't miss. Big flavor, solid quality, and way easier on my budget. From quick mac and cheese to instant mashed potatoes, I'm stocking up on all the sides that make dinner feel complete. Because if I can find new favorites and save a little while I'm at it, even better. Plus, if I forgot something, DG delivers. Big on quality, small on spend, that's the move.
The quirky little characters, the small town government cover-up and paranormal creatures, the synthesizer music, and it came out after Stranger Things, of course. So anyways, our boy, the YouTubers, they go back with the Travel Channel film crew to see the underground bunker and discover it's been, boarded up. They poured concrete over it.
Concrete.
Can't get under there anymore. Torque put everything he had into this. He's devastated. They do give each other a little kiss, though. Kiss you. That way to go. Okay. That's some good. We didn't get closure for the mystery, but we got some good emotional closure between Terry and Torque. So we see the rest of the military exhibition footage, and the guy is captured by the cult, and there's a shootout, and then the Wendigo gets him. But our guy gets away, Everett McMahon. Luckily, he's still drawing shapes correctly. That's technically. He's trying to pentagram Everett McMahon. He's done. We've lost him. But luckily, we've heard his story. So I think by now, nobody was wanting to even give this stuff attention anymore. There was so much published on the Mermaid documentary and the Megalodon documentary after it aired, but literally not a single person besides Snopes cared to talk about Helltown after it aired, and GameSpot. The only place I could find anybody reacting to this was on Facebook, where they reposted a trailer for this in 2019, claiming it to be a new special. So now that Travel Channel has its horror movie, I really am hoping to see some horror movie content from like HGTV and the Food Network and the Science Channel. But, I think the scariest thing they could have done was conglomerate with Warner Brothers and fire however many people will be fired from that. See ya.
This is your plumbing. So is this. When it runs, you can shower, wash your dishes, and, well, but when it breaks or clogs or drips, that's when you call Climate Control. We're Kansas City's plumbing professionals.
When the storm rolled in, this little dragon made my garden look insane. It's not just another basic garden light, it feels like a glowing guardian sitting right in the yard. By day, it looks like a detailed dragon statue. But once it gets dark, it automatically lights up with this warm golden ember glow. No wires, no complicated setup, just place it outside and let the sun charge it. It looks amazing by the patio, the garden path, or during a backyard barbecue. If your garden needs something people actually stop and ask about, this is it.
When the Discovery Channel announced in the fall of 2014 that its next major stunt would be to air footage of a man being eaten alive by a giant anaconda, people were immediately skeptical.
This is the green anaconda. I'm going to feed myself to one.
Eaten alive.
You see, around this time, the Discovery Channel went through a phase where it just started lying to people. every single one of its sister networks, as we talked about extensively, were airing these mockumentaries with ridiculous claims, such as having evidence that proved the existence of mermaids or giant prehistoric sharks living in the modern day. Yet, unlike these other mockumentaries, which used a lot of actors, this time around, the Discovery Channel had this guy going around doing press interviews, explaining to everyone what it felt like to be eaten alive.
What was it like being eaten by a snake?
You know what? You're gasping for air through this suit.
They showed us the special suit he wore to be eaten safely.
So I had to be able to survive the crush part. So we had a carbon fiber suit designed. The suit was uncrushable. We were testing for how much pressure the anaconda would be squeezing with.
There was no wiggle room in the lead up. This was going to happen.
Why? Snake just says, well, I got this big thing here. I might as well get a free meal.
Mosley set out to be eaten alive by a green anaconda.
What happens next?
Get me inside of the snake.
Won't go down easy. Oh my God, he's going to be swallowed. But you ever just lie?
How'd you get out?
Very carefully.
They don't tell you how the tightrope walker makes it across. You got to watch on Sunday.
You never know when someone
You have to go head first. So we're also doing something that's never been tried before, and that is to feed a live human being to an anaconda and have both parties live to tell the tale.
Oh, now the snake's gonna talk? That's a little much, don't you think? But the crazy thing is, just to make this all more convincing, the first ad for the program aired during another stunt. Discovery presents Skyscraper Live with Nick Walinda, who actually did walk a tightrope between 3 Chicago skyscrapers, an event which 6.7 million people tuned in to watch live. And like before, they used the credibility earned from airing this other program to lure the audience back in to lie to them. Like a snake. Yeah, this is Billiam, and this is when the Discovery Channel lied about a man being eaten alive. Anacondas aren't the only predators you should be worried about. There are others slithering in the dark wanting your data. Thankfully, I keep a shark with me for protection, because shark beats anaconda. That's right, today's sponsor is Surfshark, the VPN that keeps me secure while I'm out and about exploring, exposed to scaly predators on public Wi-Fi. I like scheduling out my week at local coffee shops, but hooking up to so many different public networks makes me nervous. But Surfshark lets me hop on public Wi-Fi without worrying about the security of my private data. Also, Surfshark keeps my information safe when I'm surfing at home. I don't have to worry about malware or viruses infecting my system. And it lets me get around content censorship in my state. A great thing about Surfshark is it lets you connect all of your different devices to one account. So it's like you're protecting everyone in your household in a special snake-eating suit. One that lets you browse the web without any fear. So if you want to secure your data, go to surfshark.com/BilliamDeal or use code BilliamDeal to get 4 extra months of Surfshark VPN. Not to mention a 30-day money-back guarantee. Thanks again to Surfshark for sponsoring. Now back to snakes. Just to start off on the wrong foot, Eaten Alive was aired as a 2-hour program, and the stunt would not happen until the very end. So how do they try to the first 3/4 of the runtime? I guess I would hope with an honest-to-God nature documentary. By all means, Paul Rizzoli is a venerated naturalist, and here he takes a team, including his wife and childhood best friend, through the Peruvian Amazon to go to a remote anaconda breeding ground called the Floating Forest, which is actually a remarkable place I was unaware of and easily one of the most fascinating parts of the documentary. It's the backdrop for Paul's hunt as he's trying to capture a specimen that escaped him many moons ago. Chumana, the giant snake. Paul once got his hands on Chumana only for her to escape him. By the feel alone, Paul could tell it was at least 25 feet long, bigger than any anaconda ever recorded.
Ever since that time, I've been trying to find her again.
She's the one who got away. The trip is dangerous, but every scene plays up the situation as if it is certainly life or death right here, right now.
The team will have to face a gauntlet of predators.
They see a cute little capybara, but it's being eaten alive by piranhas. Paul senses an electric eel that makes everyone get out of the water really fast. Then they do a close-up of a little spider and they're like, this guy could kill you if he really wanted to. So don't cross him. The floating forest is in fact a bed of vegetation supported by trees, so you can fall right through the floor. It's beautiful. It's scary. But it's clear the trip did not elicit the kind of tension and drama the producers may have wanted. They're clearly creating this constant feeling of danger in editing. So at times, this whole segment just feels like every other ghost hunting reality show, complete with the soundtrack.
I need to remember, look for the body more than 15 days and never found.
Not the kitchen nightmare sound. Not Gordon Ramsay finding Chumana behind the grill.
Staying alive becomes the thing that you have to worry about the most.
You know, staying alive sort of seems like a secondary objective when the title of the show is Eaten Alive. I guess you have to stay alive until at least you're in the snake's throat, but what happens after that? It can go either way. I mean, just based off the title of the show. Yeah, the scary trip into the jungle is scary, but it's not ever going to be nearly as scary as seeing a man be eaten alive. Give the jackass crew the specially eaten by a snake suit, and they'll have the whole affair cut down to 3 minutes. Trust me, guys, we can make this work. A lot of this documentary edits the team to make them not seem like valuable members, but sycophants who follow Paul into danger because of the cult of personality he's developed. I trust him with my life. He stands up on that log, and everyone gets worried for his life because he's up there so high, like Icarus.
He's not just some guy. He's one of my best friends. And it's going to be him and the anaconda. Paul can, you know.
And meanwhile, he's always giving his wife a heart attack, catfish noodling for giant anacondas. And having her be present later for being eaten alive, that's a great thing to make your partner watch. Though I'm sure he's a great conservationist, conversationalist, and just look at him save that drowning monkey. His only character flaw, which can lead to his downfall, is his desire to be eaten by a snake. But not any snake, it has to be Chumana.
Massive anaconda, well over 25 feet. That was the first night we saw the snake that we come to call Chumana.
To my knowledge, a 25-foot anaconda has never been recorded. Even Ana Julia, who was reported to be 26 feet long a few years ago, actually measured to be just over 20 feet. But from everything I can find, it is considered plausible that a snake could reach that length. Paul clearly wanted to be the first to find one of these giant beasts.
When you look at how thick this track is, this could be a 25-foot, 400-pound anaconda.
But the show makes me question his ability to estimate size.
I think it was at least 25 feet.
He thinks every snake they encounter is at least 25 feet.
Really big snake. It's probably about a 25-footer.
Team deploys nighttime surveillance to get visual evidence of Paul's massive snake.
Bro, what? What? Who wrote that? I looked on the internet. Why can't I find out who wrote the script to this thing on IMDb?
Evidence of Paul's massive snake.
Why are they kind of like putting this thing together to make it seem like Paul has some like sexual thing for the snake?
I wasn't thinking in that moment. I just jumped on it. I remember not being able to get my fingertips to touch. I'm talking a monster snake.
The man just hopes he can find a snake big enough to eat him.
Liberty Mutual helps you customize and save hundreds on car insurance.
I don't think they know how to play tennis.
Not a clue. Only pay for what you need.
DistroKid is the easiest way to put out music.
See, DistroKid makes it so easy to get your music on all of the streaming platforms.
Instagram, Apple, TikTok, Shazam. I just don't think that we give DistroKid enough credit for what they do. Competing major label services at indie artist prices.
And they never take a cut of your royalties.
What's wrong with that?
Well, we have an anaconda.
Grande?
Big in Spanish. But I understand his appreciation for these animals. The ones they're able to gather data on really are quite remarkable. 19 feet long is still a unique and rare animal for production to have come across, not being much shorter than some of the biggest anacondas ever recorded. Look at that there snake. It has absolutely no idea what is going on. It has no clue it was involved in a show that's on Wikipedia's list of television shows notable for negative reception page. That snake is happy because it has no idea its career is already over. Paul looks down the barrel of a snake and says its mouth is like a bazooka. So clearly he wants to experience it head first. And obviously his wife has to watch. And expect this eaten alive stuff to be dark. Yeah, the snakes are cool, yet somehow, like the common Bigfoot documentary, they run out of time before tracking down Chumana, and they give up.
Making it much too dangerous for Paul's team to continue their quest for Chumana.
I didn't even know who Chumana was, or that you were looking for her. I didn't expect this storyline, but you know, you got me into it a little bit. just to disappoint me.
The Paul is still determined to put his suit to the test and get eaten alive.
Jumana is not going to eat Paul alive. That's kind of bullshit. But guess what? It doesn't matter, because the wild snake was never going to eat Paul alive. Instead, they go to the largest snake they could access in captivity, a little massive 20-footer, to see if she will be interested in Paul, who, not unlike your PS5 Marvel superhero, goes into battle with a specially equipped suit built with chainmail, carbon fiber armor, breathing support, and free leg movement, just like they're dangling out of a roller coaster. Paul tries his best to be eaten at the very end of the special.
I've spent years getting ready for this moment.
It's an awkward introduction, and the anaconda doesn't really attack Paul so much as they get tangled up with each other before the snake starts squeezing, and he can't get out of there. That happened to me. I could get out. You gotta explode, Paul! Explode, boy! The scene gets the claustrophobia across so well as this massive creature makes Paul completely helpless, starting to constrict and sending Paul's heart rate spiking dangerously high as this wife watches on. But I'm sure her heart rate is perfectly fine. After about an hour of doing this, the snake did indeed put its mouth around the head of the suit. But because Paul's arm got caught underneath the snake's body and started to torque, he bailed out. Obviously, he didn't want to injure himself seriously when doing this, but he doesn't do it again.